and welcome to the WeightCare Podcast. I am Sharon Polsky, your host, and this is conversations about a new era on weight management and GLP-1s. As you know, GLP-1s are weight loss medications known as semaglutide and tirzepatide. And today on the WeightCare Podcast, I will be welcoming Kylie from Evolt360. Evolt360 is a BIA body scanner company, and she is the R&D Coordinator for that company. And what's really cool about the conversation I'm going to have with her today is because we are going to talk about how you effectively track progress when taking GLP-1 weight loss medications. I have a little bit of a pet peeve about this, because people stand on a scale, and if they don't lose weight in 1 week, they're very disappointed. And if they lose a tremendous amount of weight in 1 week, they're super elated. Neither of which is actually based on accurate or actionable information, which is a little bit troubling to me. In a week, you're probably losing mostly water weight. I think we can all agree on that. And you really need an effective way to track your progress. Now, I was just at a convention 2 weeks ago, and the CEO of a major health club stood up on a stage talking about how he was going to DEXA scan all of his GLP-1 patients. Who's going to pay for that? Your medication is already running somewhere between $500 and $1,000 a month. And then every 30 days, you're going to pay for a DEXA scan. That's absurd. It's not affordable. And honestly, it's the gold standard of bone density, not weight management. Evolt360 is the gold standard of tracking progress when taking GLP-1s. And what's really amazing about it, it has the most accurate algorithm that will tell you whether or not you are losing body fat, water, or muscle. And you know why that's important, right? Because GLP-1s have this bad reputation of burning muscle mass. That's not true. None of that is true. I coach over 2,000 GLP-1 weight loss customers. Do they lose muscle? Yes. But are they losing so much muscle it's dangerous? No. They never, ever drop below optimal based on their BIA scans. Now, but we want to monitor that and make sure nobody ever drops below optimal. This is really, really important, right? This is also why it's so important for you to have a coach that teaches you how to eat properly, a coach that teaches you how to weight train and maintain your muscle mass. So I'm super excited to be talking to Kylie from Evolt360 because they truly are the gold standard of tracking progress when taking GLP-1s using their very affordable and accurate BIA technology. And one more thing, there is no direct measure of body composition short of cadaver testing. You know what cadaver testing is? Once you die, we chop you up. So nobody is getting a direct measure of body composition. So we need to find a way to measure you that has the most accurate algorithm. And the Evolt360 truly is that technology. The reason why I talk about this algorithm thing, and I've said it 3 times now, is because a lot of other BIA technology uses an algorithm based on a 20-year-old male. How many of us using GLP-1s are a 20-year-old male? Most 20-year-old males don't need a GLP-1. So we are perimenopausal, menopausal women with PCOS. That's the majority of people taking our GLP-1s. And we're using equipment to track our progress based on a 20-year-old male. So I've been body scanned many, many times. And body scanners will say that I'm 9% body fat. I'm not 9% body fat. I don't live at 9% body fat. I wasn't even 9% body fat when I competed in fitness competitions at my lowest weight because I was so dehydrated. I didn't need to be 9% body fat. So no woman in her 40s, that's perimenopausal and menopausal, is living at 9% body fat. So from firsthand experience, I know that the algorithms are what we call vanity algorithms. They might make you feel good, but guess what? It is not actionable for you, your coach, or your doctor when you're taking GLP-1s. So that is why I am so excited to have this conversation with Kylie from Evolt360. She's the R&D coordinator, and let's get started. I am so excited to introduce Kylie from Evolt360, and we are going to have a conversation about the importance of doing some kind of type of body composition scanning when you're taking your GLP-1s so you can track your progress. Welcome, Kylie. I'm so excited to have you on.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about this with you, actually. I'm really passionate about this side of the business. So, yeah.
What do you do exactly for, I mean, I know you wear a lot of hats at Evolt. We all talk about this, but what exactly do you do for Evolt, and what is your background and your experience?
Okay, so officially I'm the Research and Development Coordinator here at Evolt. And I work with a lot of, broadly work with a lot of professionals in the industry. Background-wise, I had a RTO in Australia, which is a registered training organisation that trains PTs, diploma of fitness and all that. So obviously in Australia, we do things quite broadly with our training of educating fitness professionals, and we then is available in the US, I think. So that's my background, and obviously I was a competitive athlete in the physique realm, and super passionate about, obviously health and fitness, and specifically about building muscle for women, and obviously for everyone in later stages of life and getting prepared for that. So,
and you and I have had this conversation so many times about this importance of building muscle in women. We know that there's a lot of muscle wasting as we age, regardless of GLP-1s. And so you and I have had this conversation of this importance of teaching women that weights don't make you bulky, and we need to lift weights for longevity and all of this. So you and I have really, we don't want to normalize outside of the GLP-1 conversation. You and I have always talked about how we want to normalize that conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, and I think it's an emerging thing in normal society these days, skeletal muscle mass and the notion that you've got to look after it and preserve it and build it, especially being female because we don't have the hormonal profile, how important it is for your overall health, your longevity, how you age, your mobility, simple things like getting up and getting out of a chair as you age, like that sort of thing is controlled by skeletal muscle mass, how much you preserve of it. And of course, the one good thing that came out of COVID, I feel like, is that this idea that you shouldn't just rely on your healthcare professional to look after that. You have to be the one to look after the most important measure of your body, which is skeletal muscle mass. It's not about anymore the athlete, the bodybuilder. It's got nothing to do with that.
Correct. And I think that there's this misinformation campaign to women that if you're putting on significant muscle, you must be wanting to do some type of bikini competition or no, we need to be putting on muscle at the age of 20, 30, 40. And it isn't just women. I mean, I look at my dad who's 91 and his legs are so thin now, and his hips hurt when he lays in bed at night. His hips hurt because he's laying on a mattress straight on his bones and skin. He's had so much muscle wasting by 91 years old. So it isn't just men, but my dad carried significant muscle before he aged. We don't, women don't, because we're not encouraged to lift weights.
Yeah. And, people in society think that's just a normal part of aging. And actually, we can control that. You can control that. You don't have to put up with any of that.
Yes. And that's like really why this notion of body composition analysis is so important. And then now when we start talking about the GLP-1s, yes, GLP-1s have a reputation for muscle wasting, but they don't. I mean, the reason they got this reputation is because, yes, there's muscle wasting, but not any more muscle wasting than would happen if you were taking any kind of hardcore diet. I mean, I've had clients go to what they call fat camps here, where they like go to medicated weight loss facilities and they give them 800 calories a day controlled through medication and all of this. And they're supervised by a doctor. and they're never told to lift a weight and they lose significant muscle. So any type of hardcore diet, you're going to lose muscle. But the great thing about Evolt, and I talk about this all the time, is this ability to track your progress, to ensure that you're not just losing weight, but you're losing body fat and keeping that muscle above optimal, never dropping below optimal. So how does the Evolt technology help these individuals that are taking their GLP-1s?
So I think the wonderful thing about BIA technology, and certainly about the Evolt360, is it uses a evidence-based approach, and it's a medically approved device. So BIA has been around for decades, and they've used it a lot in research and in medicine, and they still use it in medicine. It's a non-invasive way to differentiate tissue under the weight. So it uses bioelectrical impedance analysis, which is a very mild frequency. So it sends very minor frequencies through the body, through the tactile points, and then it can differentiate your tissue. So now we can have an idea of what our skeletal muscle mass is and what's underneath the body fat, because it's okay to have a total body fat measure, but where is the body fat? You need to know. Is it visceral? Is it subcutaneous? Do you have lower body fat dominance? Like, all those things are really important.
Do you have midsection body fat dominance? You know, we're like, that's our indicator of heart disease. Still to this day is going to be that midsection body fat. And I mean, GLP-1s lower our risk of heart disease by 20%, but we want to see it coming down in the middle. We want to watch that, and we want to track that progress. And the thing about BIA is it's affordable. You're already paying $500 to $1,000 for your medication. So what are we going to do? Track your progress with another device that costs you $1,000 a month or $500 or even $50? Like, it's so affordable, and it's BIA technology. Evolt is regularly available all across the US. How many facilities in the US approximately have Evolt machines?
Oh, there'd be well over 2,000. Like, so many. And I mean, the great thing about it too is you don't have to take your clothes off. You know, it's non-invasive. Like, no one has to. It's not scary.
You just like stand up, grab your handles, and go.
Yeah, at 60 seconds, and you know, it gives you some wonderful baseline measuring. And I think we've got us as well. I think we try and teach people not to be scared of the numbers. So those numbers are important baseline data for you. If you don't know your baseline data, you've got no idea of where you're headed. It's like,
it's just information. When especially women are so afraid to step on a scale. And I always say to them, I'm like, it's just information. Just calm down. It's going to be okay. It's even if a client comes to me and they have a bad scan, I mean, you know, we all know people have I've had bad scans. And I say to them, I'd rather have a bad scan than a good scan with a client, because it's a teachable moment. I can say, how's your sleep been? How's your stress management been? How have all these things been? So we know, like, the teachable moment to help you in other places. Because, you know, even if you're taking a GLP-1, weight loss is not just about taking the shot. You still have to sleep. You still have to have stress management. You still have to exercise, hydration, nutrition, all of that's still involved, even if you're taking a GLP-1. So I love having that teachable moment within Evolt to say, look, something's still not right, even though you're taking that medication.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful feedback for you, and you can't do anything in life without feedback.
Anything, literally anything. So I totally agree. And your Evolts are located in almost every major city, right? So if somebody wanted to go get a BIA scan, an Evolt scan specifically, they could go to Evolt360.com and find a location, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. On the app, there's a location finder. You just put your postcode in or your suburb, and it'll show you your closest available location that has the machine.
Yeah, amazing. So they just download the Evolt Active app, set up a profile, which they would need to do anyway to track their progress once they go and take it. And then they'll go and just find a location near them, and then call that location and say, hey, I'd love to come and schedule a time for a scan.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the wonderful thing about the app too is it has all the tracking ability in there, so you can actually see your progress really quickly. And there's other, you know, questionnaires and helpful information in that app. One of them, the really good tools in that app is the availability of giving you some feedback around your calorie and macronutrient profile based off your body composition and your goals and your ideals. So, obviously.
And that's very unique to Evolt. Evolt's one of the only scanner companies that actually give you the macronutrient profile, meaning your protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats specifically for your scan, your demographic based on World Health Organization standards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, obviously, when we're talking about skeletal muscle mass, your protein has to be equated in that properly. Otherwise,
and because I write nutrition plans for so many people, and I always say to my GLP-1 clients, you need to eat 80 to 100 grams of protein, and they tell me I'm wrong. There's like, oh, there's no way. I only eat 40 now. If I have a client stand on the Evolt is telling them that they need 100 to 200 grams of protein. So when I say 80 to 100, they're like, but it says 200 on here. I'm like, well, that's actually more accurate, but I'm going to give you baby steps to get you to 200 grams of protein.
Yeah, so I think that's important, right? That's the advice. It's not advice so much, it's a suggestion. Yeah. And obviously what you do is you get some feedback, understand where they're at now, and then, you can make the increments based on them individually. It's like, it's another useful feedback for you.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so important about the app, but also the technology is there's so many layers of feedback. The feedback isn't just you're fat, you're skinny. Like in our heads, the constant conversation that goes through our heads is, I'm fat, so I'm not worthy. I'm skinny, which society wants me to, like, that's in our head. But when you start looking at things objectively through data, it takes that narrative and goes like this. It pushes that narrative down, and then it lets you lift up. Wait, I'm actually doing the right things, or I'm lost. I don't know what the right things are. So here's some feedback to get you to the right things. And so that's what I love about what Evolt specifically does. I mean, I've worked with other companies, not just Evolt, and there's nobody that does it like you guys do it. And so that's why I'm so passionate about what you guys do.
Yeah, I was going to say too, it's like, for women specifically, as you say, we're a bit brainwashed because we all apparently need to be skinny. And what gets me and what is not promoted, and it needs to be promoted, is that the more skeletal muscle mass we can have and build over our lifetime, the easier it is to be lean over a long period of time. And successful long-term weight loss requires skeletal muscle mass.
Yeah. And it makes our metabolism so much more efficient. So when you hit perimenopause or menopause, if you had already built up your muscle, when you hit menopause and perimenopause, or perimenopause, that menopause, you already have the muscle to help that metabolism. But
absolutely.
And it's never too late. I don't want to say like, if you didn't do it here, then you shouldn't, it's too late for you to do it. You can, I know women that start lifting weights once they hit menopause because they're so afraid of osteoporosis and things like that. So our generation, Kylie, people talk to us about osteoporosis, remember? And we're constantly talking about the bones. They were never talking about muscle. So muscle wasting is what our generation's osteoporosis was, right? And so now we have like so much more conversation about this stuff.
Yeah, and muscle mass is only for bodybuilders.
It was so crazy. But I have women now that start lifting weights at 50, and after 1 year, they feel so much better. They sleep better, they move better, they have more strength. Like, it's just so different now.
Yeah. Positive, like confidence level, everything. It's amazing. Yeah, it's so important to get that message out there. And I feel like with the Evolt360, we can really manage that. And for me, I would love, in my idea, I don't know if we can ever do this, but in my idea, we teach people from school age how important skeletal muscle mass is. Yes. And even though we're not thinking about perimenopause and menopause, it's going to happen to you.
It happens to half the population.
I know, but we don't get...
Literally half the entire world population is going to go through it. So maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah, and no one ever talks about it until you actually hit it, right? And we expect the GP to know all about perimenopause and menopause.
Isn't it crazy? And then you hit it and they're like, well, and you're like, nobody prepared me for this. And I do love GLP-1s because nobody prepared anybody for that. And then I love it when a doctor says, well, you should be happy you didn't gain 20 pounds and you only gained 10. You shouldn't have to gain any. So let's hit the gym, track your progress, eat well, sleep, balance our hormones, take a GLP-1. I mean, there's so many things that you can do now to help with all of that.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And like you don't have to go to the gym and do 5 days of heavy lifting at all.
You don't actually have to go to the gym to build muscle. You don't have to lift weights to build muscle. I mean, you can do like functional training, like push-ups and sit-ups and wall squats. And there's so many things that you just go on the internet and get some home workouts and do it. But and as funny as it is, I own a fitness facility and I don't like to work out. That's why I own a fitness facility, because it makes me work out. But I go ride my horse. I go golf. You can do things out, go hiking, but grab some hand weights and pump your arms with some hand weights. Like do something. If you do more today than you did yesterday, you will see progress. That's all you have to do. It's so simple.
And the proof's in the pudding now. There's so much research out there to support that. Like, especially since COVID, everyone's had a better recovery rate who's had a higher skeletal muscle mass.
There's recovery rates have been much better. COVID was so good for certain things and not good for other things. I know everybody has very mixed emotions about COVID, but for me, I feel like COVID was an opportunity for the clients that wanted to be more educated. They became more educated. And I think that does tie back to the body scanner thing, because post-COVID, I have a lot less clients that are afraid of the numbers. They want to know where they're at so they can kind of see where they're headed. And I have this funny Evolt story, and I always share it with everybody. So I'll share it with you. So I'm 51 and I was almost 50. And I took an Evolt scan and I was like, something is very wrong. I had this like really crazy Evolt scan. And I owned an Evolt. And then I went and Evolt scanned again, and they were identical scans. It's how I knew I hit menopause, was from my Evolt scan, because my Evolt scans were all kind of regular and normal. And then I had these 2 scans in a row that were 6 weeks apart, that were identical, but totally different. My water was crazy. My muscle was going down. My body fat had gone up, and they were 2 identical scans. And I knew right then and there, I was like, I think I hit menopause. And I went to the doctor and he's like, you sure did. And so my Evolt scan is the thing that told me, because I hadn't had a menstrual cycle because I had an IUD. So I hadn't had a menstrual cycle in 15 years. So I didn't know. And my Evolt scan told me that I was in menopause. It was so mind-blowing. And so I love my Evolt because of that. And it is just data.
So cheap feedback.
Cheap feedback and great quality feedback.
Great quality feedback, but it's cheap and non-invasive and simple, easy, quick.
Yeah, simple, easy, quick. Well, that's going to be our slogan for Evolt.
Yeah.
Simple, easy, quick.
I would like our slogan to be build more muscle.
I do say, ladies, let's build more muscle, because men, I feel like they're happy to build muscle, but the ladies like yell at them all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
Kylie, I want to thank you for coming on and having a conversation with us and normalizing these conversations about research and data and information and building muscle and tracking our progress using effective, affordable, and accurate information.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we will talk soon. Thanks for tuning in to the WeightCare Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. We'll be back next week with another exciting episode. So until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing. Thanks for listening. Ciao for now. The WeightCare Podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The content shared here represents the views and opinions of the host and guests and should not be considered medical, health, or professional advice. The podcast is not a substitute for individualized care from qualified medical providers. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making decisions that may affect your health and wellness. Any statements about treatments, health protocols, or medications discussed are based on personal experience or professional expertise and may not be suitable for everyone. Always seek personalized advice from a licensed healthcare professional who understands your specific health needs.